In Washington, Joel Waldman, Fox News.
Joining me now is KTVU political analyst Brian Sobel to talk about the Trump transition.
Yes.
And, well, let's start with Kellyanne Conway, counselor to the president. What does that mean? What's she going to do?
It's sort of whatever the Donald wants her to do, the president. It's not an unprecedented position. Presidents have the opportunity to create positions, and I think this was his way of rewarding her, frankly, for running a very good campaign in his behalf.
She seems to be the one who's trying to keep him kind of on the straight and narrow and keep those tweets from getting a little bit too out of hand at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right, and that's going to be her job, is to say, Mr. President, we'll deal with that in the morning, or more time should be put between an event and when you speak. And so far, with limited success, Ken, we'll see.
All right, so looking at his transition now, of all the cabinet positions, there's only 2 open spots, Secretary of Agriculture, and the big one is Veterans Affairs, because that is, I understand, the 3rd largest agency in the federal government.
Well, it's not only a huge agency, but it's had all kinds of problems. And so the selection there is critically important for Donald Trump to make a statement about the thing that he talked about a lot on the campaign trail, which is our veterans require and need assistance from the Veterans Administration.
He's pushed hard on the campaign trail, saying that he really stands for veterans and that this was a big issue for him.
Yes.
So you would think that a lot of veterans are counting on somebody who's going to stand up for them when they need their services.
Absolutely, and so the choice is going to be an interesting one, because you need somebody who can oversee a huge bureaucracy that moves slowly at times, doesn't work very efficiently, has overlooked some people, but they have hearts, they care, they need direction.
Another key advisor to him is his daughter, Ivanka Trump, and it looks like she's going to be in the West Wing in the White House too. That's very unusual, isn't it?
Well, it is, but if you go back into history, Truman's daughter was very influential, and there have been other children of presidents who have been very close to their father, and you know, who better to trust than somebody who's blood, and I think he feels very good about what she has told him in terms of advice, and of course in business she's been really close to him.
What about the way that President-elect has been communicating with the American people up to this point? It was supposed to be, I think, a news conference yesterday. It was less than 2 minutes. He came out, answered a couple of quick questions, and that was it. Mostly he's tweeting. Are we going to get a news conference sometime soon, or is it going to be after he's elected? What do you think?
Well, I think it'll be after the inauguration. Yeah, no. But I think they're working with him. There are some changes, but it's fits and starts. You know, he'll in my view, properly evaluate something and answer it, and you know, that sort of thing. And then another time, you know, he's mad because Baldwin does him again on Saturday Night Live and makes him mad. That's going to go away. I'm pretty sure about that.
But on a couple of days where we had a Russian ambassador assassinated in Turkey, we had a apparent terrorist attack in Berlin. He was complaining about what Bill Clinton said and who called who first after the election. It seems like the priorities were a little mixed up.
Well, and then when he did comment, he probably jumped the gun. You know, he's one of these guys that immediately said, well, it was, you know, terrorism and that sort of thing. Probably, maybe. And maybe he has some people telling him what they think from the CIA or whomever. But again, that's what he has to learn to do, is to step back a little bit, evaluate the situation, and then come out and talk. He's, you know, Mr. Immediate.
And that kind of goes to overall, what would you give him as a grade on this whole transition process? How do you think he's doing? He has filled most of his cabinet, and there's still 29 days to go.
Absolutely, and he's filled it faster than most president-elects. And it's a mixed bag. I mean, you have some very wealthy people, but his premise is, hey, if you want to know how to make money and save money, go to somebody who has done that. A lot of his other picks are people who have spent time in government, and certainly his vice president. But also some military types. I think it's interesting to see that with the core 4, you know, he's only picked 2 of them. Chris Christie is not going to end up in the government, and then also Rudy Giuliani does not look like he's going to end up with a position. But Sessions and Ben Carson will. So that's been kind of interesting.
Yeah, and he said he was going to drain the swamp, and the critics are saying you're not doing that. You're doing the opposite.
Well, that's the